If you're someone who's tried staying consistent with the gym or taking your health and fitness seriously, but you keep starting over, you keep staying inconsistent, you never 100% commit, and every Monday or every whenever you feel like you're constantly restarting, and maybe you let events like meetings, travel, work, and all these other external factors take control of you, and you feel like you never have the time to work on yourself or actually take your fitness seriously for a long enough period of time. This video is for you. Maybe you had a new goal and it was to take your health and fitness seriously and you're motivated. Maybe you go a few days of doing everything right, staying 100% committed, doing everything you need to do. But then, maybe one day you don't do it, you don't keep your promise. Maybe you slip up, you lose motivation, and you miss that day and you break your momentum completely. And then that one day turns into multiple days. You sort of go on this downhill spiral, and before you know it, you completely gave up. You're back in the same position. You've feel like you've wasted energy and time because you've yet again gone to the gym, stayed consistent with your health for a few days, and then you've given up. If you're stuck in that cycle, you're not alone, right? Because I used to be stuck in the exact same cycle for years on end, and I was breaking my promises, wondering why I couldn't get anything done, wondering why I didn't even trust myself anymore, wondering where all my confidence went. But the problem you're facing when you get to this point of constantly telling yourself you're going to do something over and over again, you're going to act in this way, you're going to show up for yourself, you're going to start, turn a new page and actually do things properly and how you intended to do them. When you start going through that cycle, but you start and you quit, all you're doing is you're psychologically telling yourself that your word isn't really that trustworthy. You can't even trust yourself. So yes, you're saying all these things and you're breaking these promises, and all that's doing is making your brain just not believe you, right? And the problem you're not able to follow through, the problem you're facing is because you don't see yourself as that kind of guy. You don't see yourself as the guy that has the identity, that is consistent, that health is part of your life, and that's who you are. You don't see yourself as that person. You see yourself as someone who's struggling, someone who's inconsistent, someone who's trying to get into the gym or into fitness or whatever form of health and fitness you're going down, right? Or looking to be more consistent in. You don't see yourself as that kind of person that follows through and stays consistent. You're just someone who's trying, someone that gives yourself the option to skip, gives yourself the option to fall back into your old habits. But you have to understand, in order to create that positive identity for yourself, you have to be 100% in. You have to be 100% committed here before you actually are on the external. Because if you keep talking, and you keep breaking these promises, your brain's not even going to trust you. You're not even going to trust yourself. And your confidence is going to be stuck in the mud. And I was stuck in that exact situation, battling with consistency and looking to become the best version of myself for years, but still breaking my promises. And it just got to a point where I was breaking my promises over and over again that my brain just didn't even respect me. My word meant so little. My brain didn't even respect me enough to help me make the change, to give me the urgency to stay consistent. And when you're stuck in that cycle of breaking promises, you almost feel like, what's the point in starting now? I've already wasted so much time. But that's the wrong mindset. And that's the exact mindset that held me back and kept me in the same position for all of that time. Because for years I was telling myself, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to be consistent with the gym. I'm going to, read 10 pages every morning. I'm going to actually make sure I'm properly hydrating and drinking 4 liters of water a day, 4 liters plus of water a day, because I've always been an active guy. But I never tracked those things. I never actually took them seriously, and I kept breaking the cycle, and I never really stayed consistent with them until years after that, until I finally was fed up with my situation. I finally wanted to change for the better because I knew that's what I had to do. That's what it took, genuinely. And if you don't see yourself as that person who is committed, who lets all these external events and travel and all these other things get the best of them and take away their health and fitness and all these other things, that's the person you'll continue to become. Because the guys who are jacked, the guys who are in shape, who are just living the best lifestyle and living the best of everything, you don't think they go on holiday and they go, oh no, there's no gym. Oh, I'm not going to keep up my habits. I'm going to binge on my diet. It's like, no, because that's not the version of themselves they see themselves as. They're going to do bodyweight exercises, still walk 10k steps. If there's no gym, they're still going to make use of their resources and the things they have around, because fitness is a lifestyle. It doesn't revolve on you don't rely on a gym to get in shape. The gym is simply an environment where you go in to build muscle mass, right? That doesn't mean fitness. You can still be out of shape, and let me reword that. You can still be, unhealthy and unfit and a very poor version of yourself and still go to the gym, which is exactly why I made my last video on why the gym is only one piece of the puzzle to gaining my confidence and becoming the best version of yourself. So understand, it's something you take with you everywhere you go. It's a lifestyle choice that you make consistently day in, day out, right? It's not something you put on hold or you cancel or you pause or you feel the need to restart or wait for a different time. It's something that you bring with you and it's a part of your identity. But the problem is you're so used to avoiding discomfort and judgment in whatever area you're going down or looking to improve. But something you have to realize is no one who is further ahead in that area you're looking to get better in is going to judge you, right? Someone who is extremely successful is not going to judge you for starting, a business, for example. Someone who's in the best shape of their life is not going to judge you for stepping foot into the gym for the first time, because it's all a process. And to be advanced and to be good and to have the physique you want, you have to be weak and you have to be a beginner and you have to start somewhere. But the problem is you're so used to avoiding discomfort and you're so feared of judgment in whatever you're looking to improve in, whether it be starting the gym for the first time or whatever it is, right? You're so scared of those things that you just constantly crawl back into your old ways and you just avoid discomfort. But understand that's the only place where growth happens. And if you're constantly in that cycle, nothing's ever going to change until you break out of it. And that's something I had to realize. But understand, nobody who is further ahead of where you are in that situation is going to judge you or look down upon you. Because in order to be good at something, in order to have what you want, in order to be in shape, for example, someone who's jacked and in the gym who has been going for years, at some point was also a beginner, was also learning the ropes, was also unsure of how to use that piece of equipment. So no one's going to tear you down unless they are also scared of discomfort, not where they want to be, and they're just trying to bring you down with them to make themselves feel better. But no one who is where you want to be, who you should be listening to when it comes to getting in shape, is going to tear you down or make fun of you or look at you weirdly because you're trying. That's not how it is. It's all built up in your head. What's causing you to avoid it? What's causing you to stay exactly where you are? Even though, and don't get me wrong, I completely understand, because it used to be me. It used to be me when I was working out at home, doing nothing but just hoping. Like, I wanted to go to the gym, but I was just, should I go yet? Just all of these things, just all these doubts and all these, like, I was just unsure. It's a new environment, it's a new thing, so it's okay to be that way. But I used to be there. I used to second guess myself, and then I went to the gym. I enjoyed it. I slowly learned, and even now I get things wrong. Like, even now, some of the pins on the squat rack machine, for example, I still mess them up when I try to put them in. I still put them in back to front. Like, even after you get to a certain point in the gym, you still make mistakes. You still do some things wrong, and nobody cares at the end of the day. Nobody cares, because you're consistent. And you don't care anymore because you're consistent. You're becoming the better version of yourself, and you're going down the path that you wanted to go down. But don't get me wrong, when I was so unsure and I was breaking my promises, I wasn't confident, and I just could never commit to anything. I had all these things I wanted to do, clear goals and visions, and I knew the exact path I had to get there, but I always came up with excuses. I always let external environments and other factors get the best of me, and I listened to them for a period of time. It held me back from making more progress. But that's something you need to realize and something you need to understand. You have to get out of that environment. You have to step out and do what's best for you. So the point I'm trying to make is I was just like you guys, right? I knew I wanted to get in shape. I knew I wanted to fully take self-improvement seriously and go all in on myself. And I knew the pathway. I knew what it required, but I just never took the actionable steps. I never made the walk. I never walked the path. Until I did, obviously. But still, if you can avoid that period of procrastinating and waiting and get there faster, like, the faster you come to realize no one really cares and you're just on your own journey, and You need to channel your area in one area specifically for you to be extremely good at it. That's when you actually start making so much progress. When you realize that investing all into yourself, your time, your self-improvement, your diet, your recovery, just everything, when you go all in on yourself and you 100% commit to just that, you'll see how much progress you make, how much you improve as a person, just how much better you get at the things you never thought you'd be good at. So the best piece of advice I have for you to finally start taking yourself seriously and keeping your promises and break the chain of inconsistency and lack of momentum is lower the standard a little bit. Stop thinking you can do everything at once, and take things, be realistic. I know people say, oh, be realistic. Like, I hate that term, but in this situation, when it comes to building habits, understand if you're going from nothing to trying to implement 10 things at a time, it's never going to work. So be realistic in this situation with what you think you can do. But yeah, I do hate that word. Honestly means nothing. But yes, do start where you think you can and stay consistent with, and then build it up slowly. Even if that's 1 or 2 gym sessions a week. What people fail to realize is that from where they are now, they don't have to stress themselves out about going to the gym 5-6 times a week. You don't need that to get in shape. Like, seriously, if you have your nutrition dialed in and focused, and you have a clear structure and you're eating with intention, right, and you have good recovery, you could honestly hit the gym hard, prioritizing progressive overload and compound movements 2 times a week and stay consistent with that, and you will get in shape in a matter of time. Consistency is the biggest factor, of course, but 3 to 4 times a week, 3 times a week to 4 times a week is the sweet spot for consistency when you're like an advanced gym goer. That's what I'd say. When you're trying to build muscle mass, you know what you're doing, you have momentum, and it actually fits around your schedule. 3 to 4 times a week makes sense, just because, I do that for the discipline factors only. But I know full well I could go to the gym 2 to 3 days a week and train how I do in a slightly different program or slightly different way, and keep all the exact progress I have now and continue building muscle and continue getting leaner and stronger and still making gains and progress in the gym. You don't need to throw yourself overboard. You don't need to overcomplicate it. But what you do need to do is start at the bottom and build up and pick things that you can stay consistent with. And when it comes to building new habits, channel your energy into one area at a time. Because the reason I used to be so inconsistent and struggle staying committed to anything, and the same most likely goes for you guys, is because you were trying to do everything first of all at once. But we have an energy bar and we have a dopamine bar throughout the day. And if you waste that energy on deciding whether to go to the gym, deciding whether to do that bit of work, deciding whether to show up for that meeting or whatever it is, you're just wasting it on deciding when you could just be working and using it on something that's actually going to move the needle. Same with dopamine. If you waste it on doing things like doom scrolling, watching Netflix, watching porn, all these destructive things, when it comes down to actually doing the work or hitting a good leg day or whatever it is you're doing in the gym, for example, you're never going to want to do it. You're never going to want to stay consistent. So pick one habit, write it down. This is what I highly suggest. You pick one habit, you write it down on a journal just so it's visually and you can remind yourself of it every single day. You write that habit down and you remove an old habit and you replace it with that one. And you implement it in, or you remove something out, whatever it is, but you do one thing at a time and you stay consistent with that for 3 weeks to a month. And when it gets to the point where you don't even think about it anymore, it's just a part of your nature, it's just a part of who you are, you do it without really thinking, no matter how you feel, that is when you've secured that habit, and then you can go on to implementing and adding another one. But before that, don't try to add multiple things at the same time, because you will just crumble, question yourself what you're doing, and you'll be back in square one. So that's the piece of advice I have for building new habits and building that momentum for yourself, and finally getting used to keeping your promises when you've been stuck in the cycle of breaking them over and over. And if you stay consistent with this over time, you will completely rewire how you view yourself. Your identity will change. You'll actually be consistent. You'll enjoy doing the hard things, and you'll just be so thankful for yourself that you took that initial bit of action. Because that first step, when it is the most awkward, when you're transitioning from someone who doesn't keep your promises to leveling up actively, it is the most difficult phase to get over. It is the most uncertain you'll ever be. It is the weirdest phase, But it's also the most necessary, right? Because like I said before, anyone who is good at something or advanced at something or has something you want to a great scale, like your physique, for example, used to be a weak, unsure, insecure beginner. And without that, you can never progress and you can never start the journey in the first place. That being said, I hope that helped you out. I hope you start building new habits, you stay committed to yourself, stop breaking your habits, and you stop going around in circles telling yourself, you don't have the time, it's too expensive, I have this, I can't do this. And so you finally break the cycle of putting your fitness and your health on hold and convincing yourself it's something that you can just get round to stopping and starting and pausing again. When in reality, it's a lifestyle thing. So I hope you finally make that change. You understand it's a slow process and it is a journey. It's not a quick fix that you're going to have everything figured out by tomorrow. You do need to stay consistent and you do need to trust the process. Check out the description below if you do want one-on-one coaching from me. There'll be an Instagram link where you can DM me the word change. I'll ask you a few questions, see if you're a good fit, see if it makes sense. Also, there'll be a link below where you can book a call with me if you want to take it there straight away. I'll ask you a few questions yet again, find out more about your situation, see if you're a good fit and if I can actually help you out. That being said, I see you guys in the next one.